Ambassador Lee Mina felt her boots click against the polished metal floor as she stepped from the transport shuttle. The sound echoed in the vast docking bay of the Galactic Council station. Behind her, Deputy Ambassador Park Jin-woo and 3 other human diplomats followed, their faces showing a mixture of excitement and nervousness. "Stay close," Mina whispered to her team. "Remember, we represent all of humanity today." The station was enormous. Mina had seen pictures, but nothing prepared her for the reality. The walls stretched up so high she could barely see the ceiling. Strange lights floated without support, casting rainbow colors across surfaces made from materials Earth had no names for. Alien beings moved through the corridors, some walking, others floating, a few that seemed to phase in and out of solid form. A tall, thin creature with blue skin and 4 arms approached them. Its voice sounded like wind chimes when it spoke. "Ambassador Lee Mina of Earth, I am Guide Theta 9. The Council awaits your presentation." They walked through corridors that seemed to bend and twist in impossible ways. Park Jin-woo kept looking around with wide eyes. "The artificial gravity changes every few meters," he whispered to Mina. "How do they build something like this?" "Focus," Mina replied quietly. "We need to be ready." The guide led them to a preparation chamber where they could review their materials one final time. Mina opened the sealed diplomatic pouch and pulled out humanity's petition for membership. The document was thick, filled with data, images, and testimony about human achievements over the past century. "Are you nervous?" asked Dr. Kim Seo-jun, their scientific advisor. "Terrified," Mina admitted. "But we knew this would be difficult. The hegemony has controlled the council for thousands of years. They don't like change." Translator Shin Yuna checked her equipment one more time. "The universal translator should work perfectly. Every word you say will be heard by all species in their native languages." Guide Theta 9 returned. "The council is ready. Please follow me." The council chamber was beyond anything Mina had imagined. It was like standing inside a massive sphere. Floating platforms hung at different levels throughout the space, each one holding representatives from different alien species. Some platforms held creatures that looked like living crystals. Others supported beings made of what appeared to be liquid metal. There were species that seemed to be made of pure energy, flickering and shifting as they moved. At the very center of the chamber, on the largest and highest platform, sat the hegemony. Their crystalline forms were beautiful and terrifying at the same time. They pulsed with inner light that changed colors as they communicated with each other. Mina could feel their age, their power, their absolute confidence in their dominance over this galaxy. "Ambassador Lee Mina of the species human, from the world called Earth," Guide Theta 9 announced. "You may present your petition." Mina walked to the center platform. Her team stayed behind, but she could feel their support. She looked up at the hundreds of alien faces watching her. Some seemed curious. Others appeared bored. The hegemony showed no emotion at all. "Honored Council," Mina began, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "Humanity comes before you today not as beggars asking for scraps, but as equals seeking recognition for our achievements and our right to join this galactic community." She activated the holographic display system. Images of Earth appeared in the air above her head. Cities that sparkled with clean energy. Oceans that were blue and healthy again. Forests that had been replanted and restored. 100 years ago, humans nearly destroyed their own world, Mina continued. "We fought wars that killed millions. We poisoned our air and water. We seemed destined to die out like so many species before us. But we chose a different path." The images changed to show Mars, with its growing colonies and terraformed valleys. Then Europa, with its underwater cities beneath the ice. The alien representatives leaned forward, showing interest for the first time. "We cured aging," Mina said. "Not to live forever, but to have time to fix our mistakes. We developed clean fusion power that ended our energy crisis. We learned to work together instead of fighting each other." Park Jin-woo watched the faces in the crowd. Some species were nodding in what might have been approval. The insectoid collective seemed to be buzzing with excitement. But the hegemony remained cold and still. "We have terraformed worlds," Mina continued. "We have ended poverty and hunger on Earth. We have created art and music and literature that celebrates not just humanity, but the wonder of all life in this universe. We believe we are ready to contribute to this council and learn from the wisdom of older species." The chamber fell silent when she finished. Mina looked up at the hegemony platform, waiting for their response. The largest hegemony crystal began to glow brighter. When it spoke, its voice filled the entire chamber with sound like breaking glass. "Your species advances too quickly," humans. In less than 2 centuries, you have gone from primitive technology to interstellar travel. This rate of change indicates dangerous instability. Other hegemony crystals began to pulse in agreement. Species that evolve too rapidly become threats to the established order. They upset the balance that has maintained peace in this galaxy for millennia. Mina felt her heart sink, but she kept her voice steady. Respectfully, honored ones, rapid advancement shows adaptability and intelligence. These are valuable traits in council members. The quarantine around your solar system remains in effect, the hegemony speaker continued, ignoring her words completely. Park Jin-woo stepped forward slightly, his face showing anger. But Mina held up a hand to stop him. The quarantine violates your own charter, Mina stated firmly. She pulled out a thick document from her pouch. Article 7 of the Galactic Council Charter clearly states that no species may be denied membership based solely on the speed of their technological development. The chamber erupted in surprised sounds from dozens of different species. Apparently, no one had ever quoted the Council's own laws back to the hegemony before. The hegemony speaker's crystal form flared with brilliant, angry light. Silence. You dare lecture us on our own laws. The moment Ambassador Lee Mina quoted the Council Charter, the atmosphere in the chamber changed completely. The floating platforms that held alien representatives began to shift and move. Some species tried to back away from what they sensed was coming. Others leaned forward, curious to see how the ancient hegemony would respond to being challenged. The largest hegemony crystal pulsed with angry red light. Its voice became louder, filling every corner of the massive chamber. No species has dared question our authority in 3,000 years. You forget your place, human. Park Jin-woo felt his heart racing as he watched guards emerge from hidden panels in the walls. These weren't ordinary security forces. They were hegemony enforcers, crystalline beings that moved like living statues, their bodies crackling with deadly energy. Their footsteps made no sound as they surrounded the human delegation. Mina, Park whispered urgently. We need to leave. Now. But Ambassador Lee Mina stood perfectly still. She looked up at the hegemony speaker with calm eyes. I am a diplomatic representative of Earth. I carry full immunity under galactic law. You cannot touch me. The hegemony speaker's crystal form grew brighter until it was almost painful to look at. Immunity applies only to civilized species. You have proven yourself barbaric by questioning those who have ruled this galaxy since before your son was born. Dr. Kim Seo-jun tried to step forward to help his ambassador, but invisible energy fields suddenly surrounded each member of the human team. The fields crackled and sparked, holding them in place like insects trapped in amber. Let them go. Park Jin-woo shouted, struggling against the energy restraints. The more he fought, the tighter they became. This is illegal. The Council Charter protects all diplomatic missions. Around the chamber, representatives from other species watched in growing horror. The tentacled Aquarians were making distressed sounds in their water-filled platform. The insectoid collective buzzed with alarm. Even species that normally supported the hegemony seemed shocked by what was happening. But none of them spoke up. None of them moved to help. 3,000 years of hegemony rule had taught them all the same lesson. Those who challenged the Crystal Masters died. By decree of the Hegemony Council, the speaker announced formally, Ambassador Lee Mina of Earth is found guilty of defiance against cosmic order. The sentence is immediate execution. The words hit Park Jin-woo like a physical blow. He watched in disbelief as the floor beneath Mina began to change. Metal panels slid away, revealing glowing energy coils that started to heat up. Warning lights flashed as an execution chamber began to rise from the floor. You can't do this, Dr. Kim Seo-jun said, his voice breaking. She's an ambassador. She came here in peace. Peace is obedience, the hegemony speaker replied coldly. She chose defiance instead. Mina looked around the chamber one final time. Her eyes found the recording devices that broadcast council sessions to every world in the galaxy. Billions of beings across thousands of planets were watching this moment live. This is murder, she said clearly, her voice steady despite the rising heat around her feet. I came here seeking friendship and cooperation. I offered the hand of peace, and you respond with violence. Remember this moment, all of you who are watching. Remember what they do to those who seek justice. The incinerator chamber was fully raised now. Its transparent walls glowed like the inside of a star. Mina could feel the heat beginning to cook the air around her. But she didn't scream. She didn't beg. She stood straight and proud, representing humanity until the very end. Park Jin-woo was crying now, tears streaming down his face as he fought against the energy bonds holding him. "Please," he begged the assembled aliens. "Someone stop this. She doesn't deserve to die." But the chamber remained silent except for the humming of the execution device. Mina activated her emergency communicator with a thought command. The signal would reach Earth in just minutes through the quantum relay network. Her final message was brief and clear. "Tell Admiral Kim Do-yoon, execute Reckoning Protocol. My mission ends here, but humanity's response begins now." The hegemony speaker noticed the transmission and his crystal form flared with anger. Cut her communication. But it was too late. The message was already racing across space toward Earth. The incinerator chamber sealed shut around Mina. Through the glowing walls, the assembled aliens could see her standing calmly in the center. She looked up at the hegemony speaker one final time and mouthed words that the universal translator carried clearly: "You have chosen war." Then the chamber erupted in plasma fire. The heat was so intense that even the recording devices had trouble maintaining a clear image. But the sound was crystal clear, the roar of energy weapons designed to completely destroy any organic matter in seconds. When the fire died down, nothing remained except a small pile of ash on the chamber floor. Park Jin-woo's scream of rage and grief echoed through the council chamber. Her name was Lee Mina. She was a wife, a mother, a teacher. She came in peace and you murdered her. The hegemony speaker's response was as cold as the vacuum of space. "Let this serve as a warning to all species who would challenge the established order. The hegemony has ruled for 3,000 years. We will rule for 3,000 more." But Park Jin-woo was no longer listening to the crystal tyrant. While the guards were distracted by the execution, he had managed to activate his own emergency communicator. His message to Earth was even shorter than Mina's: "The die is cast. They have chosen war." The hegemony forces noticed his transmission and moved to stop him, but the damage was already done. Two messages were now racing toward Earth, carrying news that would change the galaxy forever. Admiral Kim Do-yoon stared at the massive screen in Earth's war room, watching his sister die for the 5th time. The recording from the Galactic Council station showed every horrible detail. Mina standing proud and defiant. The incinerator chamber rising from the floor. The plasma fire that turned her to ash in seconds. Around the circular table, Earth's most powerful leaders sat in stunned silence. President Oh Sang-hoon had tears in his eyes. Defense Minister Choi So-young gripped her chair so tightly her knuckles were white. General Park Hyun-woo, commander of Earth's ground forces, kept shaking his head in disbelief. "They killed her," whispered Foreign Minister Lee Jae-hyun. "They actually killed a diplomatic ambassador on live broadcast." "She was my sister," Admiral Do-yoon said quietly, his voice steady despite the pain in his chest. "But more than that, she was humanity's hope for peace. She believed we could join their council as friends and equals." The recording ended, leaving the room in heavy silence. Then Defense Minister Choi So-young spoke the words everyone was thinking: "They made their choice. Now we make ours." She placed her hand on a biometric scanner hidden beneath the table. Red lights flashed as the most classified protocol in human history came online. "Reckoning Protocol is now active," the computer announced. "All sleeper units are authorized to engage." President Oh Sang-hoon looked around the room. "Are we really doing this? Are we going to war with the entire galaxy?" "Not the entire galaxy," Admiral Do-yoon corrected. "Just the hegemony and anyone foolish enough to stand with them. My sister died believing in diplomacy, but they've shown us what they think of our peaceful intentions." Across human space, hidden signals began transmitting on frequencies the Council had never discovered. In asteroid belts that appeared empty to alien sensors, massive doors opened to reveal warships that had been waiting in secret for decades. Space stations disguised as mining operations suddenly activated military-grade shields and weapons systems. Captain Yoon Hyun felt her heart racing as her destroyer group received the activation codes. Her ships had been hiding in the shadow of a dead moon near Council mining operations for 3 years, waiting for this moment. Her crew had practiced the attack plan so many times they could do it in their sleep. "All ships, this is Hyun," she broadcast to her squadron. "Reckoning Protocol is active. Our target is the Hegemony mining station. Remember, we offer surrender once. If they refuse, we destroy them completely." Her ships decloaked simultaneously, appearing from nowhere like ghosts becoming solid. The hegemony workers at the mining station had just enough time to send a distress signal before human weapons turned their facility into glowing debris. 3 systems away, Commander Sung Minja's stealth frigate surrounded a council trading post. The alien merchants inside were from 5 different species, all supposedly peaceful traders. But intelligence reports showed they were selling weapons to hegemony forces. "This is Commander Song of Earth Defense Forces," she transmitted to the station. "You are supporting enemies of humanity. You have 60 seconds to evacuate before we destroy your facility." The station's response came back quickly: "We are neutral traders. We have done nothing to humans." "You sold particle weapons to the species that murdered our ambassador," Song replied coldly. "Neutrality ended when they chose genocide." 50 seconds. Some of the alien ships began launching immediately. Others tried to fight. Song's frigates made quick work of those who chose violence, while allowing the smart ones to escape and spread word of humanity's response. Back on Earth, Admiral Do-yoon stood before a wall-sized holographic display showing the entire galaxy. Red dots marked hegemony positions. Blue dots showed human forces that were revealing themselves for the first time. Even Do-yoon was surprised by how many blue dots appeared on the map. "How long have we been planning this?" President O asked in amazement. "Since first contact," General Park answered. "The moment we learned about the Galactic Council, our best strategic minds began preparing for the possibility that diplomacy would fail. We hoped we'd never need these preparations." "Hope for the best, prepare for the worst," Admiral Do-yoon added. "Mina always said that was humanity's greatest strength." The first battle reports were already coming in. Human forces had struck simultaneously across 17 different systems. Every hegemony monitoring station within 50 light-years of Earth had been destroyed. Trade convoys carrying supplies to hegemony worlds found themselves surrounded by human warships. "This is Captain Kim Tae-hyung of the EDS Revenge," came one report. "We have surrounded a hegemony supply convoy. They refuse to surrender. Request permission to engage." "Granted," Admiral Do-yoon replied without hesitation. "Anyone who supports the hegemony shares their fate." Defense Minister Choi So-young activated the planetary communication system. Every screen on Earth, every radio, every communication device would carry the president's message to humanity. President Oh Sang-hoon stood before the cameras, his face grim but determined. Behind him, the image of Ambassador Mina's execution played on repeat. "Citizens of Earth," he began, "today we learned the true face of the Galactic Council. They invited us to seek membership peacefully. When we did, they murdered our representative in cold blood, broadcasting her death to the galaxy as entertainment." He paused, letting the weight of his words sink in. "The hegemony believes humanity will accept this insult and crawl back to our small corner of space like beaten dogs. They are wrong. Today we discover whether humanity will kneel before tyrants or stand as free beings in this universe." The president's voice grew stronger, filled with righteous anger. "The hegemony chose war when they chose murder. They will learn why that was the worst mistake in their 3,000-year history. We do not seek conquest. We seek justice. And we will have it." Across human space, millions of people watched their leaders' words. In hidden military bases, soldiers prepared for battles they had trained for but hoped would never come. In space, human fleets began moving toward their targets. The galaxy was about to discover what happened when humanity stopped offering friendship and started demanding justice. Commander On Ji-hoon checked his tactical display one final time as his task force prepared to drop out of hyperspace. Kepler Station was one of the hegemony's most important military bases, protected by a full battle fleet of crystalline warships that had never known defeat. "All ships, prepare for combat drop," Ji-hoon announced to his squadron. "Remember, we hit them fast and hard. No mercy for the crystal killers." His 12 destroyers emerged from hyperspace in perfect diamond formation, their AI targeting systems already locked onto enemy vessels before human eyes could even process what they were seeing. The hegemony fleet was caught completely off guard, their ships arranged in the traditional ceremonial patterns that had worked for 3,000 years. Those patterns had never faced human warfare. "Fire all weapons," Ji-hoon ordered calmly. The human ships unleashed hell. Railguns fired metal slugs at 30% of light speed. Missile swarms launched by the hundreds, each warhead guided by AI systems that could think faster than any biological brain. Energy weapons designed to cut through asteroid mining operations sliced through crystalline hulls like they were made of glass. The hegemony commander on the station sent desperate messages to his fleet: "Maintain formation. Execute Pattern 7." But Pattern 7 was designed for fighting other hegemony fleets in ritual combat where both sides followed ancient rules of engagement. Human ships ignored those rules completely. Captain Yoon Sungmin's destroyer broke away from formation and began using the gravity well of a nearby moon to slingshot around behind the enemy fleet. Captain Kim Ji-won's ship launched a cloud of reflective chaff that confused hegemony sensors, making her vessel appear to be in 12 different places at once. "They fight without honor," the hegemony fleet commander transmitted, his crystal voice cracking with panic. "Honor doesn't bring back murdered ambassadors," Commander Ji-hoon replied as his weapons tore another hegemony ship apart. The station's defensive platforms tried to target the human ships, but the destroyers were moving too fast and too unpredictably. When the platforms finally got lock-on, they found themselves shooting at empty space while the real targets attacked from completely different angles. In 7 minutes, half the hegemony fleet was destroyed. In 12 minutes, the remainder surrendered. By minute 14, Kepler Station was under human control. "Clean sweep," reported Captain Yoon. "No human casualties. Enemy fleet completely neutralized." 3 systems away, Captain Lee Young-ho's marine assault ship approached a massive hegemony command vessel. The crystalline ship was trying to retreat, but human interceptors had disabled its engines. "Prepare for boarding action," Young-ho announced to his marines. "Remember your training. These aren't human opponents. They're made of living crystal, but they break just like glass when you hit them hard enough." The hegemony crew expected the humans to request formal surrender negotiations. In traditional galactic warfare, boarding actions began with ritual challenges and single combat between champions. Instead, human cutting torches burned through the hull in 6 different places simultaneously. Flashbang grenades exploded throughout the ship, creating blinding light and deafening sound that shattered crystalline senses. "Breach! Breach! Breach!" Young-ho shouted as his marines poured through the holes in the hull. The hegemony crew had never faced weapons like this. Human assault rifles fired bullets that shattered crystal bodies on impact. Explosive charges placed on critical systems disabled the ship's weapons and life support in minutes. The hegemony commander, an ancient crystal being that had lived for over 1,000 years, found himself surrounded by human soldiers pointing strange weapons at his glowing core. "We surrender," the commander said in shock. "This is not how warfare is conducted. Where are the ritual challenges? The honor duels?" Captain Young-ho removed his combat helmet, revealing a young human face streaked with sweat and determination. "We didn't come here to play by your rules. You murdered our ambassador in cold blood. Now you get to learn how humans fight when we stop being polite." The psychological impact of these victories spread across the galaxy faster than the human fleets themselves. Every species in the Galactic Council received footage of hegemony ships being systematically destroyed by human weapons. The broadcasts also showed the execution of Ambassador Lee Mina, reminding everyone why humans were fighting. The Aquarians were the first to break. Their tentacled representatives arrived at Proxima Station under a flag of truce, their water-filled transport ships surrounded by Fleet Admiral Park Hyogen's battle group. "Admiral Park," the Aquarian leader transmitted, "we request immediate ceasefire negotiations. Our quarrel is with the hegemony, not with humanity." Admiral Park sat in her command chair, looking at the alien delegation through her ship's main viewer. Behind her, tactical displays showed human forces winning battles across 17 systems. "Where were your protests when they burned our ambassador alive?" Park asked coldly. "You sat in silence while they committed murder on live broadcast." "We were afraid," the Aquarian leader admitted. "The hegemony has ruled for 3,000 years. No one dared oppose them. And that's exactly why they thought they could kill Mina without consequences," Park replied. "Fear of tyrants only makes them stronger." The Aquarian ships powered down their weapons and began withdrawing toward their home systems. Within hours, the Insectoid Collective and the gas-based Ethereals followed their example. 3 of the Council's major species abandoned their alliance with the hegemony, leaving the Crystal Masters to face humanity alone. More human fleets arrived every day as Admiral Kim Do-yoon's hidden forces revealed themselves. Ships emerged from asteroid bases, artificial moon stations, and camouflaged positions throughout the galaxy. For decades, human exploration vessels had been secretly establishing these positions while pretending to be simple traders and researchers. The hegemony tried to rally their remaining allies, but fear was spreading faster than their propaganda. Species that had served the Crystal Masters for millennia suddenly discovered that their oppressors could be defeated. Within 6 months, the hegemony's vast empire had shrunk to their core systems. Their crystal cities, once symbols of eternal power, burned under human bombardment. Their fleets, once invincible, fled in panic whenever human ships appeared on their sensors. Admiral Do-yoon stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the final approach to the hegemony homeworld. The planet glowed with the light of 1 billion crystal beings, but that light was growing dimmer as human weapons targeted their power sources. "They killed my sister because they thought humanity was weak," he said quietly to his staff. "Time to show them how wrong they were." Admiral Kim Do-yoon walked slowly through the ruins of the hegemony's great crystal palace. His boots crunched on fragments of what had once been walls that glowed within a light. The massive spires that had reached toward the stars for 3,000 years now lay broken like shattered glass across the capital city. Earth flags hung from the twisted remains of the council chamber where his sister had been murdered. The irony was not lost on him. He now stood in the exact same room where Ambassador Lee Mina had been burned alive for asking for justice. The surviving hegemony leaders were brought before him in chains made of their own crystalline material. These beings had once ruled over hundreds of worlds and billions of creatures. Now they knelt in the dust of their destroyed civilization, their proud crystal forms dulled and cracked from battle damage. The former High Speaker, the same being who had ordered Mina's execution, raised his damaged head to look at the human admiral. His voice, once powerful enough to fill entire chambers, now came out as barely a whisper. "We yield to your superior force," the crystal being said. "Name your terms for our surrender." Admiral Do-yoon looked down at the creature who had killed his sister. Part of him wanted revenge. Part of him wanted to watch this being burn the same way Mina had burned. But he was not here for personal satisfaction. "Too late for yielding," Do-yoon replied calmly. "You had that chance when Ambassador Lee offered peace. You chose murder instead. Now you face justice." Around the galaxy, human forces were establishing new governments on every world that had been under hegemony control. The Crystal Masters had ruled through fear for so long that many species didn't know how to live without their oppressors. On the water world of Aquaria, Captain Park Jimin was helping the tentacled people establish their first democratic council. "You don't need masters," he told them patiently. "You can govern yourselves." The Aquarian leader twisted his tentacles nervously. "But who will make the important decisions? Who will tell us what to do?" "You will," Captain Park replied. "That's what freedom means. You get to choose your own path." Back on Earth, President Oh Sang-hoon stood before representatives from 50 different species in the newly built council chamber. Unlike the old Galactic Council, this room had no floating platforms or elevated positions. Every representative sat at the same level, as equals. "The Terran Accords establish simple principles," the president announced. "Every species has the right to self-determination. Every being has the right to life and liberty. No species may dominate another through force or threat of violence." He looked around the room at faces that were strange and alien, but no longer filled with fear. "We humans did not seek to rule over you. We sought justice for our murdered ambassador. Now that justice has been delivered, we offer something the galaxy has never had, true partnership between equals." Defense Minister Choi Soyoung had been given a special assignment. She stood on the construction site where the old Galactic Council station had once orbited. In its place, a new structure was taking shape, the Mina Memorial Station. "Every species that seeks to join our new alliance will come here first," she explained to the construction foreman. "They will learn about Ambassador Lee Mina. They will see the recordings of her execution. They will understand that humans offered friendship first, and only chose war when peace was rejected with murder." The memorial was beautiful in its simplicity. A holographic display showed Mina's final speech, where she offered humanity's hand in friendship to the galaxy. Next to it, another display showed her execution, and the words she spoke before dying: "Remember this moment. Remember what they do to those who seek justice." Captain Yoon Hyun had been promoted to governor of the former hegemony territories. Her job was perhaps the most difficult of all, deciding what to do with the crystal beings who had oppressed the galaxy for 3 millennia. "Redemption is possible," she announced to a gathering of former hegemony officials. "But it will be earned through service, not words. You will work to rebuild what you destroyed. You will serve the species you once enslaved. You will learn what it means to be equals instead of masters." Some of the crystal beings protested. "We are a superior species. We have ruled for thousands of years. You cannot force us to serve lesser beings." Governor Yoon's response was firm but not cruel. "You had your chance to prove your superiority through wisdom and leadership. Instead, you chose murder and oppression. Now you will learn humility, or you will learn to live alone on prison worlds where you can harm no one but yourselves." The galaxy was changing rapidly. Species that had been slaves for generations were learning to make their own decisions. Worlds that had sent tribute to crystal masters were now keeping their resources for themselves. Trade routes that had enriched only the hegemony were now benefiting everyone. Not all the changes came easily. Some species struggled with freedom after so many centuries of being told what to do. Others tried to become oppressors themselves, thinking they could replace the hegemony. But human peacekeepers were watching, ready to step in whenever the old patterns of domination tried to reassert themselves. Admiral Do-yoon returned to Earth 6 months after the final battle. He stood in his sister's old office, looking at the medals and awards she had earned during her diplomatic career. On her desk was a photo of the two of them as children, playing in their grandmother's garden. He opened his personal log one final time to record his thoughts about the war and its aftermath. Mina believed in the better angels of human nature, he recorded. She thought we could join the galactic community as friends and partners. The hegemony chose to meet our demons instead. They learned too late that humans are capable of incredible kindness when offered friendship, and terrifying wrath when that friendship is answered with violence. He paused, looking out the window at Earth's blue skies and white clouds. History will judge whether we were heroes or monsters in this war. I sleep peacefully knowing we were just. We offered peace and received murder. We responded with justice, not revenge. The galaxy is better now than it was before, and that matters more than whatever names they call us in future history books. The war was over. The new order had begun. And humanity had learned its place in the galaxy, not as conquerors or subjects, but as guardians of justice for all who sought it.